Welcome back to another episode of the Moneyball Cards podcast. Last week, you guys enjoyed that Bobby Witt episode. So this week, I'm going to be taking a look at a prospect breakdown of Julio Rodriguez. Is he better than Bobby Witt? Well, you're going to find out in a few minutes. But before I end up going over that data, I want to show you guys a pickup from the Dallas Card Show. Last weekend, I went to the Dallas Card Show and picked up quite a few vintage cards, which I really enjoyed. But my favorite pickup was this 1910 Abe Adel. Now, Abe Adel was a featherweight champion, I believe, for like 5 or 6 years. But that's not the important part. The important part is he helped fix the Black Sox scandal. So he was in bed with some of the different criminals and obviously was a boxer at the time. But really, really cool card. And it's a lot rarer than his Mecca from 1910 as well. So now I have his 1909 Ogden. I have his Mecca. I also have this one right here. And I also have a 1912, I think it's a T227 Champions card. There's a Ty Cobb in that set. Sorry if I messed that up, but really cool pickup. My favorite from the weekend itself. But now we're going to take a look at some of the data behind Julio Rodriguez. If you don't know who Julio Rodriguez is, he's one of the top prospects in baseball currently, and he plays for the Seattle Mariners. People don't fully expect him to get called up in 22. Maybe he'll be added to the roster later in the year. Depends on what happens with this bargaining agreement. But most likely, most experts predict 2023. That being said, his hobby prices are really, really expensive. And first, before we go over that breakdown, let's take a look at some of his top cards. So I'm in Market Movers, and I'm going to look over here for Julio Rodriguez. We're going to take a look at 2 of his different cards. So first, we're going to take a look at his autographed first Bowman, and then we're also going to take a look at his normal one. So this is autographed first Bowman currently right now, and you can see over the last 365 days, kind of flatline, but it is cyclical. We have over here at $1,500, one at almost $2,000, and it goes down to $1,300. The lowest one that has sold was $1,000, which seems like a bargain because everything else is well over $1,000, but peaked right here at $2,200. It's an expensive card. I mean, you're dropping $1,500 into a card of a person who has not played one Major League Baseball game. And you can get some really good stuff if you're a Mariners fan, including a Ken Griffey Jr. Tiffany. So look at this, Ken Griffey Jr. And we'll just show you that as this loads up. And for that cost, you can get a Bowman Tiffany PSA 9 and also his tops right now. Seems kind of cheap. You can get his Bowman Tiffany for about $1,500 as a PSA 9. Obviously not a 10, so a little bit different. But this card as a 9 only is a pop of $451. Now taking a look at Julio Rodriguez's first Bowman non-auto, we are looking at a price of, we'll go over here, $120. So some sales over here at $125, $120, $130. But you can see it hit a high of $180. People are going crazy on prospects over the last 365 days. It's been slowly declining, but still an expensive card. $120 isn't cheap by any means. So does this justify the value of Julio Rodriguez? Let's take a look at his stats. And the website I'm using is Fangraphs, which is really good for advanced stats and data. I highly recommend you use it before you go out there and buy any prospects. So Julio Rodriguez right now is in AA for the Seattle Mariners, and he is 21 years old, just turned 21. So happy birthday, Julio Rodriguez. Now here's his prospect report. They give him a high of a 55 for hitting, 60 for power, 70 for raw power, speed at 50, field average or fielding right here is 50. So across the board, he is a power guy, which is good because our hobby really enjoys the home run. As the commercial goes, chicks dig the long ball, and so do sports card collectors. Now, taking a look over here, we have some data for the last few years. He got put in rookie league at the age of 17 and has played through 20. And right here, we have rookie ball through AA. And I'm going to take a look at his last season first before we go into more information. So over here, it says he played in 46 games in AA, and he also played in 28 over here in A+ this last year. So we're looking at 60 We're looking at 74 total games. He's had 334 plate appearances. And the first thing I noticed is the walk percentage at 10 and 14%. 10's a little bit lower, but 14 over here. But it's kind of all over the place during his minor league. Obviously 6.8 and 6.9%. They had the one season that there was no minor leagues. And then we see a spike in walks. So maybe he's getting a better eye in the minor leagues. I mean, we don't have a ton of data to look at, but if he can stay around that 14%, let's say 12, 14%, that's pretty good. Now, K percentage wise, he's at 18%. ISO, for how much power he has, he's at 184 for AA, but he was at 256 when he was at A+. 184 is a little bit low, but 256 is good. Now, BABIP, so how often he gets on base based off of balls hit into play, is a 431. So either that is a bit of luck or he's getting solid contact. Now, lower ISO as well, so maybe more singles than anything else, but we'll go over some more of his stats. But we're looking at a 431, while in AA, 390, but in 2019, a 528 compared to 353 and 364. That's really high BABIP, by the way, so maybe a little bit lucky, but we'll see. Average wise, 362, 325. OBP and slugging, we have 410, 581. So pretty good over there. And you can see his WRC plus 173 and 162. Really, really great stats. And just to show you guys a comparison to Bobby Witt, I'm going to put this in another tab so we can show you side by side, because these are the two guys I see a lot of people putting money in the hobby. So Bobby Witt, on the other hand, had a WRC plus of 142 compared to 173. He also had OBP and slugging at 352, 581. Julio Rodriguez, 461, 546. Based on balls, we'll just say that's 12. That's about 20. And then over here, you can see walk rate, 9% and 23%. So based off of just the hitting stats alone, we're not taking a look at defense or anything, I am going to go with Julio Rodriguez as my pick if I was going to pick one of the two players to invest in. Looking scouting reports again, fielding is average 40 to 50, and over here, fielding 40 to 50. Witt has 60 speed compared to Julio with 50 speed. But Julio Rodriguez, 60, 70 power, same with Bobby Witt. And then game power 60, game power 50, 60. I'm liking Julio Rodriguez a lot better based off of his minor league data over here, but I want to look at some more advanced stats as well. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit so you guys can see over here the batted baseball profiles. And I'm going to look at 2021. So right over here, we see that his pull percentage is 43% and 43.7%. Center field at the AA level was only 20%, which is really weird, but before it was at 35.6%. Again, he didn't play many games, only 20 games, or not 20 games, sorry, 46 games. So it's not a huge sample size, but still a little bit concerning going down to 20%. And then you can see the opposite field, 36.5% and then 20%. So he pulls the ball a lot more than Bobby Witt Jr. did. And that does cause an issue, because if you start pulling the ball, teams are going to shift on you. They also have a lot more advanced scouting available to them in the major leagues than they do in the minor leagues. So as he faces better pitchers, people can pitch towards his weakness of pulling. And you see the defensive shift that happens to teams because of a Madden that implemented it with the Tampa Bay Rays. So it is a little bit a concern over there on that side of things. So overall, Julio Rodriguez, if I was going to go after one of the two players, whether it's Rodriguez or Bobby Witt Jr., I would look at Julio Rodriguez. And one other thing to take a look at is the farm system with the Seattle Mariners. And you can take a look at the top 100 prospects and just see how loaded the Mariners are. So baseball, top 100 prospects. Now, last year they called up Kelenic, who was a top prospect in the game of baseball. Julio Rodriguez on this list is number 2, by the way. Witt's number 3. So you can see that they have number 2 prospect, Julio Rodriguez. They have Noelvi Marte, which I'm going to do a full breakdown as well. Really, really hyped prospect within the hobby at number 11. So they had 3 guys within the last 365 days in the top 11. Also down over here, they have George Kirby, which might be a 100 miles per hour Greg Maddux. Going to cover him as well a little bit later. They have Hancock, which I'm not too familiar with. Another right-handed pitcher at 34. And they have Harry Ford as a catcher on 98. So we have 5 guys in the top 100. They have 4 and above number 34. So they have a really, really loaded farm system on there. And Julio Rodriguez is going to be the number 1 prospect in baseball because Adley is going to get called up this year. So that's your breakdown of Julio Rodriguez. I think he's a better bet than Bobby Witt, but we don't know. Baseball is a weird sport, and sometimes the most hyped prospects in the minor leagues don't perform. And sometimes there's prospects that aren't even ranked that become superstars. So look, minor league stats are great, but at the end of the day, it is still a gamble. And at the same time, also, you have to look at some Hall of Famers you can buy. You can buy a PSA 9 of a Bowman Tiffany of Ken Griffey Jr. for the same price as a PSA 10 Julio Rodriguez autograph. What would you rather have if you were a Mariners fan? Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.